In this tutorial, we are going to create a simple login system in PHP. So you should already have a web server running on your machine and PHP installed. I'm using the XAMPP package to install my web server. So if you don't have XAMPP already, go to Google, search for XAMPP, XAMPP, then download the installer, run it, and you should have Apache web server and PHP installed on your machine. Okay, then after that you will need a code editor. I'm using Visual Studio Code. You can use any code editor you want. It can be Notepad also, but I use Visual Studio Code because it is easy to use and gives me a lot of tools to use during my development process. Okay, so if you want to use the Visual Studio Code, then you have to download and run the installer. Then you will get an interface like this. Okay, so first of all, what you do is create a subfolder inside your document root. So my document root is djamp.htdocs login. Okay, login is the folder that I have created. You can create a different folder. Then I have created 4 blank files inside it: clear, dashboard, index, then process. Okay, and then I have these 4 files open in Visual Studio Code like this. You can go to file, then open folder, then you will get the list of the folders. Then you can click on login. Okay, and you can select the folder and all the files will be available to you. Fine. So inside open index.php, then write this following code: HTML. I will choose HTML. So Visual Studio Code has created this code for me, so it is easy to use. As I told you earlier, you don't have to write a lot of boilerplate code. If you want, you can write it manually also. All the code you can write manually also. Okay, it is just HTML code. So after that, I will create a div folder, div here. Then I will create another div, and inside the div I will create an input. Okay, and I will copy this. Then I will name it as email. Then I will name the second one as password, and the third one should be a button, submit button. Fine. By the way, this needs to be password. And then I will say set some hard codes here: beer. Fine. So let us go to index.php in on the browser and try to access it. Yes, the 2 fields are coming with a submit button. Okay, now this site.local is the name of my local host. So this I have configured to show up like this. You can use localhost also. Okay, does not matter, the result will be same. Okay, so we have 2 fields and a button. Now let me input some placeholder here. You have to give it an email and placeholder, password, refresh. Fine. So we have to input an email and then we have to input a password here, then submit the form. The form is not created yet, so let us do that. Form, and let us do it like this. Fine. So we have a form like here. Okay. So by default the form text the get method when the form is submitted. Email and password are showing up in the browser address, so we don't want it to happen. So what we will do, we will change the method to post. Okay, and action is not needed. Now if we submit the form, it will submit to itself. That means it will submit to index.php file. Okay, so what we will do, we will write a script here to process state. So require once is process dot php. Fine. Okay, so let us remove these values. Fine. So the form is ready. If we submit it, then this process will handle the submission data. Okay, so let us go to the process file. It is blank now, so let us write some code here. So when the form is submitted, let us check that post submitted. So the code will check if the form is submitted and then execute the rest of the code block. Okay, so if the form is not submitted, this block is skipped. So if the form is submitted, then we should have a post submitted value here. So this field should come from this index.php file. So let us write that field here. Input type will be hidden. We don't want this one to show up on the front end. Name should be submitted and value should be any arbitrary value. It need not be one, it can be anything you want, it doesn't matter. So this submitted value is there. When we submit this form, this condition is fulfilled. Okay, the post submitted, sorry, we need to input this value like this. If the post submitted value exists, that means the form is submitted, the rest of the code block is executed. Fine. Then we will check for some login logic. Okay, if post, let us take the email, then test at example.com and post password my pass. Fine. So when the post is submitted, this code block will check for the email, the post email, that the email we have sent, and the post password with these values. These are hard coded, but this need not be hard coded. You can take the value from anywhere. You can pull the value from some file or from database also. I am not going to show that. Uh, so when the post is submitted, then when the post is submitted, this value exists, so this code block will execute and it will look for this post email and password. So if those are there, then test it is the email and my pass, those are checked against these values, text example.com and my pass here. So we can actually use these values, we can pull these values from some file also, these values, test example and my pass. In real life applications, these two values will come from database, so we are not going to do that because this is not a very elaborate system. So I have hard coded this to the file itself. So if the login code, if the credentials we have passed here exists, then the login is successful Then what we will do, we will start a session start. That is how we start a PHP session. Okay, any login system in PHP can be created with this function. This is an inbuilt function. Session start is an inbuilt function. So when you start it like this, session start, a session is started. Okay, now we need to input some session variable. Log in, then I will give it a value. Yes. Okay, so what we are doing here is we are first starting a session with session start, then we are inputting the value of a session variable. This logged in variable, this is arbitrary, you can give it any name you want, but this part is compulsory, you have to write it like this. So we are taking a session variable. This session variable is available only after session starts. Okay, now the session variable is given, and this arbitrary value, yes, you can give it one or whatever you like. So the session variable is given a value, that is the important thing. Then we are adding a header and giving it a value like this. So what is happening here is that first we check that the form is submitted, then we check the credentials. If the credentials are there, then a session is started, a session variable is created, and a value is assigned. Then we are redirecting this page process.php to this location. Okay, then if it fails, if the login fails, we will say permission denied. Fine. Okay, so if the login is successful, then the session starts, then the page is redirected to this location. This header function is a built-in function in PHP, and we can redirect a page using this code, the location. Okay, using the location parameter, we can redirect this page to another location that we desire. So if the user can log in, then he is redirected to this location. We have another page, dashboard.php, at that location. Okay, otherwise the system will say that permission is denied. Fine. So in dashboard.php, what we will do, again we can write some HTML5 code. Then we will simply write, this is all for the time being in dashboard. Fine. So let us check it again. So we have a form, we have a text value email, we have a password value password, then a hidden value submitted. Then when we submit the form, it is captured by this process.php file. It checks that the post submitted value is there, that means the form is submitted, and if it is there, it checks the posted email and the password against these values. So if they are equal, then a session is started with the built-in function session start. Then we are using a session variable, giving it an arbitrary name and giving it an arbitrary value. Then we are redirecting the user to this location. This location is already there, this dashboard file is there, otherwise we are saying that permission is denied. So in dashboard we have simply this code, this is the dashboard. Fine. So let us test the system. So we'll write something here, in something here, then we will submit. It is saying that permission is denied. Yes, because the email and password are incorrect. So this time I will write the correct email and password, and I will submit. As you can see, we are inside the dashboard. The login has been successful. Okay, but there is still work left. This page, dashboard page, can be accessed without the login also. We don't want that. We want that this dashboard page also should be protected through the login. So let us add some code here. Okay, on top of the page we will write some PHP code. What we will do here is we will start a session. Okay, if session, and we are checking for if the session variable logged in is set. Not set, permission denied again. Then we are accepting. Fine. So what is happening here is that in this file we are starting a session again. Okay, then we are checking the value of the session variable logged in. As you will remember, we have set the value of logged in this file. See, yes, so the value is set. So if it is not set, that means the login has not been successful. So this file should show permission denied. If this conditional block is escaped, that means user has logged in and the session variable is set, then it will reach this is the dashboard. So we already have it. uh, yes, the session variable is already logged in, the session variable is already set, so we are getting this dashboard. Let us clear the variables first. Session start, session destroy. So what we are doing here is that we are starting the session and we are destroying it completely. So it should take care of the logout. Then let us try to access this board again. As you can see, this time it is showing that permission is denied. Why this is happening is because the dashboard file does not have the session logged in variable because it is not set yet. It is set only when the index file form is submitted and the session starts here and this variable is set here. Okay, when the user logs in, then only the session variable logged in is set to yes. So this is fulfilled only when the user is logged in, and the user is not logged in here because we have destroyed the session with these two lines of code. Okay, that is why it is showing that permission is denied. So let us go back to index and then let us write test then click on submit. As you can see, we are able to access the dashboard again. Fine. If we refresh it also, we are getting to get the dashboard content. So this is how a login system in PHP works. So every time you want to set a session, we have to do it after the user logs in. Then any page that you want to protect the session, what you do is you start the session at the top of the page and then check for the session variable. The variable that you set under login script. Okay. Then after checking it like this, if the session variable is not set, then you deny permission, or else you let them access the dashboard. You can protect any number of file like this, okay, in this way. So let us make another file and HTML file. So the name of the file is another, and let us use the same code here. Then we will write another. It is accessible because the session variable is already set from here. Now we will clear it again. Then we will try to access it. As you can see, it is showing permission denied. So you can create a system like this. You can add as many admin pages as you want and protect them with session. Okay. By the way, I haven't shown you uh, if it is accessible after login. Tested example.com dashboard. Fine. So this is how we access, we protect pages with PHP sessions. Okay. So you can create a complete administrative system with this code. So what you do first is you need to start a session after the user logs in, and you need to set a variable like this. Then you redirect the user to the desired location, and the desired location should also have this code to check for the session variable. If the session variable is there, then it will allow access, otherwise it will say permission denied. Of course, it will not, you will not write this code again and again in many pages. What you will do is you will write it in one page and then include the page at the top of other pages where protection is required. Okay. So this is how you create a simple login system using sessions in PHP.